Hello, Ron Chaffee, the Finn guy, and I'm here once again at Security Equipment with help from, once again, Derek Holmes. And we're going to go over with you a walk-around startup of a T60 Hydroseeder. This Hydroseeder is equipped with a pintle ring hitch. Now recognize we can supply you with a number of hitch choices, and each one would be adjustable here. You've got multiple positions. So you're going to want to consider which vehicle will most frequently be towing this machine. You're also going to want to periodically inspect your chain, make sure everything is intact. You're going to want to periodically inspect your breakaway. And while I'm talking about the breakaway, I think it's important to recognize this breakaway is not designed to go through the chains. That's a towing no-no. You want to make sure that this breakaway is hooked to the vehicle that's pulling the machine, so that if it does indeed pop off the hitch, this breakaway will stop the machine. You're also going to want to periodically inspect your trailer wiring, your trailer plug, the jack, the brakes on the machine, as well as the tires. Now, on the tongue of this machine, you have a storage compartment or toolbox, and inside you've got enough room to store a number of things. And what we have in here typically is going to be your ball valve, various nozzles, grease for your auto lubricator, which we'll get to in a minute. There's enough room in there where you could possibly put discharge hoses, fill hoses, hydrant adapters, things to facilitate filling this machine with water as well as discharging. Now here are the grease points on the T60 with reel and tower. Everything is clearly marked with a sticker, either service daily or service weekly. So this is your agitator bearing in the front. And now as we move towards the back of the machine, I'm going to point out some other ones. Right here is the bearing for the reel. You've got more grease points in the back. So you've got the bearing on the agitator, the rear. We also have a couple of grease points on our tower swivel. We have a couple of grease points on our pump shaft. And one final area is this auto lubricator. And I'm going to take a moment to explain to you how this works. So let's talk about the auto lubricator for just a minute. It is a spring-loaded plunger that provides the action on this, which is going to push the grease down into a small chamber that is going to do two functions, which is going to grease the bearing and cool the ceramic seal. You should always find it in this position where the wing nut and stem are out, allowing the grease to push down into there. If you find it where the wing nut is down at the base or top of the cup, there's no grease going down into the cavity there. So you should never find it like this. That means that either if the wing nut and stem are all the way down, it needs to be filled, or someone filled it and forgot to unscrew the wing nut. So I'm going to unscrew this and show you how it looks. You should always find fresh grease in there. And if it's empty, just take your water-soluble grease, which looks like this, like some peanut butter, and just smear it down into this cup, okay? Fill the cup. Don't overfill the cup. And then, just put the auto lubricator back into its receptacle, screw it down, and don't forget to unscrew the wing nut. Now, fresh grease can travel down into the intended area. Now we're going to start the engine, allow it to warm up for a minute or two. You may need to choke it. After it's started, we can push the choke in and use the throttle cable, which is up there. So it's warm. My throttle adjustment right here. I'll tell you while it's warming up, this is a Kohler 23.5 horsepower air-cooled engine. It's maintained properly. It's not unheard of to get 2,000 to 3,000 hours out of this engine. This engine also provides the power that you're going to need to do our functions, which are the engine is controlling the hydraulic flow to this motor that's going to give us agitation. And also, that engine, when we hit the electric clutch, is going to allow the shaft to spin on the pump, providing our pressure. So here's how the agitator works. It's controlled from either end. I can push here, and also when I'm in the back, I can be using the lever in the back. As you can see, so now let's talk about the agitator direction. When it's in reverse, think about it, it's going towards the rear of the machine. So regardless of what the sticker may confuse somebody, reverse, rear of the machine, forward, front of the machine. Now why is that important? It's important because when the machine is in reverse, we're mixing and driving the slurry away from the sump area, preventing some sort of concentration or buildup of materials. We want to have a homogeneous or uniform mix. When it looks like it's ready to go, then we're going to get it to the neutral position and move it towards the front and have it operating slowly. And when I say slowly, 15 to 20 RPM is sufficient to keep this mix moving and keep it homogeneous. And it's critical that you don't over-agitate because you may introduce air into the mix and have cavitation, which will appear as if you've lost prime. You'll open your lid, you'll see more mix in there, but nothing will be coming out. So don't panic, just stop the agitation, let this slurry settle, the air will escape, and you can start over. All right, now we're ready to operate, and I'm going to demonstrate for you today spraying water. We're not going to do a mix today, that's part of another video that you can see at a later date. We've already filled this to the paddle shaft with water, and the first thing we're going to do is something that all folks should always do when hydroseeding. If you're the one that's renting this to someone, or if you're the person that is renting from someone, you want to make sure before you leave the parking lot that you are able to spray through the tower or through the hose with no obstructions. So we're going to go through that for you. We're going to start the machine, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about these positions real quick before we operate. The standby position is going to allow me to spray through the tower when I step on this button in the platform station, okay? This is going to not have a permanent running of the pump. It's indeed a relay, so that when I step on this, the pump will run. Now when I'm ready to purge the hose, I'm just going to put it in the engage position. Of course, before I do, I'm going to connect this lead hose to the hose reel. And when I flip this switch down to engage, the electric clutch is going to take that pump shaft and start it spinning, and I've got constant movement. Then the slurry, or water in this instance, is going to go through the hose to the end of the valve here. This is closed. And I'm going to open it to allow the flow to come out. And I'm not going to panic because I have recirculation on this machine. That's what this hose is. So when this valve is open, that pump is always going to send mix back into the tank, whether I'm really going through the tower or through the reel. Some people like to have this open at all times as a fail-safe, so that there's never a deadhead condition. And what I mean by deadhead is when you have a buildup of pressure in the pump with no way for it to escape. All right, now I'm going to start the machine, and I'm going to purge these lines for you. All right, now we're going to switch over to the hose reel. Disconnect our latch here, pull our hose through. Down. Here. Reconnect. Now ready to operate our hose reel. Start again. I got my recirculation open. I'm hooked up to my reel. I have this closed. So I can hit my foot without sending my locking mechanism here. Pull the pump out. Walk to my spot that I'm ready to spray. Try not to take my hose. I open my ball valve and touch it. Give it a minute for the water to work its way over. And there it is. If I don't like the pattern, I can close my valve valve, pull my nozzle, and I can switch to a different nozzle. I can turn it. All the while the pump is going, but remember, because we have recirculation, we're not deadheading. No need to panic. We'll talk about method and technique of spraying in another video. So when we finished spraying, we disengage our pump, and now we're ready to go back to our water source. Again, fill it about to the paddle shaft with water. You want to purge your lines. It's critical to purge your lines. You want to start with a clean tower, a clean hose reel, and you, again, want to make sure that you've taken that slurry out of your pipes. If you leave it in there, I think those of us that have sprayed before know that on a hot day, it's going to de-water and turn into a concrete-like substance that becomes very difficult for anyone to get through. So just take a few minutes to go back to your water source, fill up to about this shaft, and purge your lines like we talked about in the beginning of the video. Just engage your clutch, spray through the tower, spray through the hose, clear your recirculation line. So we talked about end of day. Now let's talk about end of the season or winterization. Depending on where you are in the country, you want to put this thing up for the season, and you want to do certain things that are going to make it conducive to operation in the spring. Pull your drain plug in the back, let the machine empty entirely. You're going to want to eventually pull the drain plug underneath of this pump. Before you do, some folks like to pour mineral oil down the pump. Let it coat that entire pump inside. Then pull your drain plug and allow that to drain out. You're going to want to drain your hose, pull it entirely out. Anything that had water in it, you're going to want it to drain. Your ball valves, you're also going to want to open those ball valves probably about halfway to make sure that the water has drained out and is escaping from behind that valve so that it doesn't crack in the spring. Other things that you can do, you can touch up any rust spots, spray touch-up paint on it. And again, go through the inspection that we talked about to make sure that the trailer is intact and will be ready to go when you're ready to start in the spring.